Well, Deb Murphy filed this report today for Sierra Wave Media because today, on what would have been the first day of witness testimony in the Don D. Rossi embezzlement trial, Inyo County District Attorney Tom Hardy offered Don D. Rossi a plea deal of 8 years in state prison. Now, appointed Judge Philip Argeno said Hardy made the offer reluctantly. Now, after consulting with his client, attorney David Evans asked for a continuance until 9 a.m. Thursday so Don D. Rossi could discuss the plea with her father. If she rejects the deal, witness testimony will begin at 10 a.m. Argeno explained that if the deal was not taken, his hands were tied. Quote, if Mr. Hardy proves everything that has been alleged, you're looking at a long time in prison, end quote, the judge told Rossi. Argeno went on to remind Rossi that she had complained of unfairness, that others were involved, but she's the only one facing trial. Argeno said, if you have information that implicates others, tell Mr. Hardy. Argeno also pointed out that if convictions are made and others required to make restitution, that would reduce her restitution. Now, in an email, DA Hardy said, quote, the Joint Bishop Police and DA investigation in 2013 looked at the entire department and all of the staff and did not discover any other criminal behavior, end quote. Now, after granting the continuance, Judge Argeno said, quote, some consideration, end quote, would be given because Rossi took responsibility for some conduct. Rossi and her husband, Kenneth, were arrested in April of 2013 on 44 felony counts. The primary charge, embezzlement of $1.5 million from Inyo County Department of Health and Human Services Public Assistance Program, where Rossi was employed at the time. And again, today, a plea deal was offered to Don D. Rossi, 8 years in state prison. Well, Deb Murphy also filed this story. Inyo County Board of Supervisors were set to send their representatives to the Inyo County Los Angeles Standing Committee meeting with direction on agenda items. Only problem, the agenda hadn't quite been worked out by County Water Department and Los Angeles Department of Water and Power staff. Now, the Standing Committee is scheduled to meet in Independence this Monday, February 8th. The time was originally set for 1 p.m., but with Los Angeles City representatives arriving via helicopter and the issue of shutting off the meeting in time to get them all safely back to the city during daylight hours, the time may change to 11 a.m. But the Inyo supervisors heard presentations and public comment on 3 items presumed to be on the agenda. They also listened as frustrated audience members requested that updates on issues of the long-term water agreement, water allocations not being met, and land releases not released be included on the agenda. Now, on the top of the presumed agenda items is LADWP's request for early discussion of potential water cutbacks to ranchers and mitigation projects. Now, the sticking point was the wording of the proposed motion indicated the Standing Committee would vote on reductions, but those reductions would be determined by the technical group made up of city and county staff. Now, LA Aqueduct Manager Jim Yanada stressed the importance of addressing the issue early, referring to last spring's 48-hour notice of irrigation cutoffs. We heard you loud and clear, Yanada said. We want to be proactive to do a better job. We're trying to get ahead of the curve. Now, Board Chair Jeff Griffiths and Supervisor Mark Tillemans reminded Yanada that the county asked for early discussions last year with no response. The issue is the tech group making the decision. Griffiths said, we want a public process. Now, the cooperative process of restoring irrigation water last year involved multiple standing committee meetings and a messy but very transparent process. Now, the second agenda item the county wanted to see on the standing committee agenda was keeping some of the water saved on Owens Lake in the Owens Valley. Now, at the last committee meeting, the county was told that that was outside the purview of the standing committee. Inyo County Administrative Officer Kevin Caruncio argued it was well within that purview. We were told repeatedly that irrigation and mitigation project use was tied to the variance for dust mitigation on the lake. All we're asking is that some of that savings stays in the valley. That was from Kevin Caruncio. Supervisor Mark Tillemans used the analogy of being asked to participate in a baseball game and LADWP shows up with a football. Deb Murphy also filed this story talking about the opening public comment portion of Monday's technical group meeting. Now that set the stage for what is often a cursory meeting of minds of Inyo County and Los Angeles Department of Water and Power technical staffs. Daniel Pritchard objected to LADWP's reactivation of 2 wells near 5 bridges now classified as W385R and W386R. The 2 wells were permanently shut down as part of mitigation measures addressing the damage done to vegetation. The long-term water agreement outlines the procedure to rescind the prohibition of 385 and 386, he said. Basically, turning the wells back on requires backing through the procedure that declared that they would be permanently shut off in the late 1980s. Now, LADWP modified the wells in 2013 to pump water out of deep aquifers rather than the shallow aquifers that lead to the loss of native vegetation south of the Owens River. Now, the wells were initially used to dewater the gravel pits and send water to the aqueduct. The item on the agenda was a request to proceed with a 2-month pump test as part of a California Environmental Quality Act initial study. Now, during discussion of the item, Inyo County Water Director Bob Harrington agreed with Pritchard's analysis of rescinding the permanent shutoff status. He said the LADWP Board of Commissioners and the Standing Committee have to agree to change the mitigation measure. Harrington then went one step further. He said a mitigation plan has to be in place that provides greater mitigation values. This has to be addressed before we can approve the CEQA test run. Now, Aqueduct Manager Jim Yanada said Los Angeles never agreed to a permanent shutoff of the 2 wells. We will be complying with CEQA and the long-term water agreement that no significant damage will result from activating the wells that can't be mitigated, according to Yanada. Now, you can see our website, sierrawave.net, for the complete stories written by Deb Murphy on those water issues. And Deb also filed a story on Sierra snowpack, including noting that LADWP dated February 2nd showing encouraging trend, but only Mammoth Pass snow pillow exceeds 10% of normal to date. That's at 123%. The range of eastern Sierra snow pillow sites range from a low of 59% at Big Pine Creek to 82 at South Lake, 83 at Gem Peaks, 89 at Cottonwood Lakes, and 95% at Rock Creek. And again, you can see sierrawave.net for that full story. We'll be back with more news.